after being beat like this by Ryan Garcia, what's next for Devin Haney?
I think the best thing Devin Haney could do is pursue a rematch and just something to help that chin out. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think the most realistic thing Devin Haney should pursue is like he was talking about having a rematch for the actual title. But if Ryan Garcia is saying he can't make the weight, then I think at that point we might not get the rematch, because if Ryan Garcia can't make the weight, and if Devin Haney wants to stay and potentially unify at 140, and he's still the WBC champion, by the way, because he didn't lose the title because Ryan Garcia didn't make weight, then okay, I think Devin Haney just has to try to defend his title, but he needs a bounce back performance in a bad way, because if you do want to unify, Isaac Cruz, Subriel Matias, and Teofimo Lopez are the other champions. Following this performance, I think all of those dudes will probably be favored in a fight with Devin Haney. Isaac Cruz, I'm not as sure about, but he has a lot of fans that will bet on him that I think that'll be the case. And Subriel Matias, I wonder how much respect he'd get on the sports books, because not a lot of people, in terms of casual bettors, casual boxing people, like, are that aware of him yet, the way like people watching this and we are. But I think the smart bettors will like, oh, we're taking Subriel Matias to knock out Devin Haney, and then that'll shift. So there's a world. I never thought I'd say this, because Devin Haney looked like clearly the best of this group in terms of the champions at 140. But now I think there's a world where the other dudes are looking at him like he's food, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I do want to get to this part, and I mentioned this earlier about guys having the O, and I don't think it's that important. The fact that these guys are getting into the ring and fighting the best, that's what I want to see in boxing, because for a minute, I think we stepped away from that in boxing. So these guys are putting their O's on the line, and for Devin Haney, I think he's still a threat in this division. He's still top 5 in this division. Like, let's be serious here. Just because he took this one loss, had a bad performance, doesn't change what he's done and what we've seen from him. Stylistically, not a good matchup, but if I'm gonna put him against other guys, and I'm still looking at Regis like, what happened? I'm being honest. I'm looking at Regis like, what happened? Because going into this, if I had to pick before that fight with Regis and Ryan, who's the better fighter, I would have said Regis Prograis, without a doubt. And then Devin Haney did that to Regis Prograis, and I'm like shook after seeing what Ryan did to Devin Haney. So that makes me question things. But I think the money fight, if he wants to put his title on the line, if he wants to go for another money fight, which I don't know if you do. I don't know if you want another tune-up after Ryan and then having like a massive fight. Devin Haney wants all the smoke, though. I think it's Teofimo Lopez. I think that's a tough fight for Devin as well. But like, because I don't want to fight Subriel Matias if I'm Devin Haney. No way. There's no way I'm fighting Subriel Matias. I'm not even looking his way. Anytime I see a Puerto Rico flag, I'm turning away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not doing it if I'm Devin Haney. You know what I mean? But I think Isaac Cruz would be his best option. Because I hate to say
the biggest risk. Subriel's the biggest risk in that division right now.
I hate to say it, because I know people are going to get on me. And I like Isaac Cruz. I do. I like his style of fighting. Anyone that watches the show knows I love Mexican style boxing. But I would say he's the weakest of the champions. I would say. Would you disagree, Brian? Like, not the weakest of the champions. You got Teofimo Lopez. You got Subriel Matias. Take down that Puerto Rico flag. It's scary. Okay? It's scary to Devin Haney boxing fans, Brian. And then you got Isaac Cruz. Like, I would still rank Devin Haney over Isaac Cruz.
I think I probably would too. Because here's the thing. Ryan Garcia actually has height and reach. Isaac Cruz doesn't to that extent. So Devin Haney could actually keep a safe level of distance from him if he's able to avoid those punches. The problem is if Isaac Cruz closes the gap, it could be night-night for Devin Haney within a few rounds, based on what we saw in the Ryan Garcia fight. Maybe his jaw doesn't get broken. Maybe his jaw stays intact, and it's not the case. But we saw it against Gio Cabrera, that Isaac Cruz struggled cutting off the ring, struggled with movement. He struggled cutting off the ring against Rolly. He just kept, pounding Rolly to the point where, Rolly had to fold at some point. Subriel Matias is more problematic because he has height and reach. And he also doesn't give a shit where he is, inside or outside. Like, it doesn't matter. He doesn't give a fuck.
And he'll take a hit. He'll
And
get punched.
right. And he'll take a gamble. He has a chin. He's in your face. Like, he's ridiculous. And then Teofimo Lopez, I think he has everything. It's just a matter of up here, how much is he focused? But he has everything. Jermaine Ortiz gets blamed for not wanting to engage in that fight, and that's why the fight was the way it was. We've seen this with Teofimo Lopez a couple different times against Sandor Martin also. So
He's a tricky fighter, though. Sandor Martin is a really good tricky fighter. And
by the way, speaking of, that was supposed to be Devin Haney's next opponent after this, reportedly, because they were supposedly working on that fight next because he's supposed to be the mandatory for that title. So maybe that's the answer. And boy, if y'all were pissed off about Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos and Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz, Devin Haney versus Sandor Martin, I think, could be a great tactical boxing match. But for casual fans who are just tuning in to see what Devin Haney does next, that shit could be a snoozer. I'm warning you right now.
And I mean, we kind of saw a fight where Arnold Barbosa Jr. didn't look very good either in the 140-pound division against a guy who he was supposed to be, but a tricky fighter in McComb. So, there are lots of questions at 140 pounds, but what's next for Devin Haney after losing to Ryan Garcia? I think he has to get back in the ring and ask for that rematch. And if he doesn't get that rematch, I think fighting a guy like Sandor Martin would be good before fighting a guy like Teofimo Lopez, because that would be the money fight to make. You're not going to bring in so many viewers for Devin Haney and Sandor Martin. However, Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, that's a banger. Does Devin want to take that fight if Ryan doesn't want to do the rematch? It's a tough fight. Very tough.